Okay. Welcome to the another class. So this class we are going to discuss regarding sample designing. Last class we have already studied regarding how research process works, how research design is done, and how we collect the data. And before data, we have to decide how we are going to proceed the data and exploratory data, or whether we are going to get descriptive data, or whether we are going to take the casual data, that is explanatory data. Okay. Now let's study about the sample design. Now, what is a sample? You all know that whenever we are making any research or any study, we need to have a question that in this part of people and how much sample size will be taken. There will be huge population, and the sample size depends on the problem we have identified. So all the items under consideration in any field of inquiry constitute universe. Okay, we call it as universe, the inquiry we are going to do, or a population we say. So a complete enumeration of all the items in the population is known as a census inquiry. Okay, so census inquiry, you all know how inquiry is done, and even government also collect the census data. So here census is all about the enumeration, the population which we are going to study. So it can be presumed that in such an inquiry, when all the items are covered, no element of chance is left and highest accuracy is obtained. Okay, so accuracy plays an important role, and it is not possible when the data is very huge and we can collect all, but we can select a sample size. On that basis, we can decide that, okay, these people have decided on this. This is the behavior. On that basis, we can take some decisions. But in practice, this may not be true because even the slightest element on bias is such an inquiry will get a larger and larger as the number of observations increases. So that is an always a problem, okay? Because a bias always happen when we are making a survey sample we are taking, okay? So moreover, there is no way to of checking the element of bias or its extent except through a resurvey or a resurvey or use of a sample checks. So always bias will be there whenever we are having a sample size study or research is going on. So a resurvey or a use of sample checks always work. So we do always a sample check. So beside this type of inquiry involves a great deal of time, money, and energy also. So time consuming whenever you are making the survey, yes, it's included. Money included, energy you included. So three things always be included in this. So with this, census inquiry is not possible in practice under many circumstances also. Okay. For example, blood testing is done only on sample basis. So hence quite often we select only few items from universe for our study purpose. We can't take all people's blood test. So the items so selected constitute what is technically called a sample. We take a sample. So whenever you go for any diseases also happen. So when you go for any medical laboratory, so they will take a sample, a blood sample. They will check. Okay. So that is all the sample study. Now, researcher must decide the way of selecting a sample or what is popularly known as sample design. Okay. So for example, I would like to study the customer satisfaction of online services, the rural market of Bijapur district, or if I say Bijapur plus Bagalkot district. So when I say this, so if I take accept all the taluka and the district, so the total population will stood up to 20 lakh to 22 lakhs, or it might have gone because as per the 2011 census, it is 20, nearby 20 lakh. And if we compare it now after 10 years, obviously it might have reached around 25 lakh or more than that also. No, I have to study the 25 lakh people. That is not possible. Now, how I am going to design my the survey? Okay, if I use a simple method of sampling, so it will take around 600 samples for 21 lakh people. That is my sample size for the population. So, in other words, a sample design is a definite plan determined before any data are actually collected for obtaining a sample from a given population. Okay, so a plan select 12 of cities 200 drugstores in a certain way constitute a sample design. So there are 12 cities and we are going to select 200 drugstores. It's a medical shop. The samples can be either probability samples or even non-probability samples. So here I no need to explain what is probability and non-probability because this you have already studied in your last semester. So with probability sample, each element has known probability of being included in the sample, but non-probability samples do not allow the researcher to determine this probability. So probability always have the chances of occurrence. So probability samples are those based on a simple random sampling. We select randomly, systematic sampling, or we can say even go for a stratified sampling, cluster area sampling. So whereas non-probability samples are those based on convenience sampling, judgment sampling, and quota samplings. So these are the basis of probability samples and non-probability samples. We will see it one by one. Now, deliberate sampling. Okay, so it is also known as purposive or non-probability sampling. So this sampling method involves purposive or deliberate selection of a particular units of the universe for constituting a sample which represent the universe. So whenever we are deciding a sample size here, we are deliberately choosing a section, a particular section of unit of a universe. That is nothing but the population here. And when population elements are selected for inclusion in the sample based on the ace of access, so it we can be called as convenience sampling. Okay, it's like very easy. So we are going for a convenience sampling. If the researcher wishes to secure data from, say, gasoline buyers, he may select a fixed number of petrol station and may conduct interview as the station. So if you stand of the whatever petrol stations are available, you just stand there, whoever come, you just ask them and you can get your survey very easily. So this would be an example of convenience samples of gasoline buyers. At times, such procedure may give very biased result, particularly when the population is not homogeneous. Because at the gasoline station, the people who comes to take the petrol, they are not the same minded, or they are not coming for the same purpose. Might be there will be a commercial purpose, there might be home purpose, or there might be just enjoying purpose. So you cannot have an homogeneous population over there. So that will become a problem, or you can say limitation. Next, on other hand, in judgment sampling, the researcher's judgment is used for selecting items which he consider as a representative of the population. So here the judging is in the hand of the researchers. For example, a judgment sample of college student might be taken to secure reaction to new method of teaching. Okay, it's totally in the hand of a teacher, a professor, you can say. So I'm thinking of going for a new method of teaching, so I'm going to judge on that basis. So judgment sampling is used quite frequently in qualitative research more than quantitative. So where the desire happens to be develop hypothesis rather than generalized to larger populations. I hope you understood this. So moving next, simple random sampling. So this is also known as chance sampling or probability sampling, where each and every item in the population has equal chance of inclusion in the sample. Okay, everyone will be most of the time included. And each one of the possible sample in case of finite universe has the same probability of being selected also. So here the universe is finite. That means population is finite. If you take an example, if you have to select a sample of 300 items from universe of 15,000 items, so then we can put the names or numbers of all the 15,000 items on slips of paper and conduct a lottery. So whoever comes, so we know 15,000 are finite universe or a population. Among that, we have to select a 300. So we can select as a lottery system 300, and then we can go for it. So using the random number table is another method of random sampling. To select the sample, each item is assigned a number from 1 to 15,000. So randomly, we will be picking the sample size. So then 305 digit random numbers are selected from the table. So to do this, we select some random starting point and then systematic pattern is used proceeding through the table. Now, continuing that, we might start with the fourth row, second column, proceed down column to the bottom of the table, and then move to top of the next column to the right. So this is how we go for a random selection. So with the systematic way. So when a number exceeds the limit of the numbers in the frame, in our case, over 15,000, it is simply passed over the next number selected that does fall within the relevant range. So we started with the fourth row, second column. So we will change it. Since the numbers were placed in the table in a completely random fashion, the resulting sample is random here. So this procedure gives each item an equal probability of being getting selected. So in case of infinite population, the selection of each item in a random sample is controlled by same probability, and that successive selections are independent of another. So infinite population is when the population is very, very huge. Okay, we cannot go for it. Okay, in crores together. So that will be the problem. So here, the selection of each item in random sample is controlled by the same probability, and that successive selections are independent of one another. Next is systematic sampling. So in some instance, the most practical way of sampling is to select every 15th name of on a list. So every 10th house on one side of a street and so on. This is systematically we are proceeding. So this type of sampling is known as systematic sampling. So an element of randomness is usually introduced into this kind of sampling by using random numbers to pick up the unit which to start. So we can select it randomly and systematically we'll proceed to. So this procedure is useful when sampling frame is available in the form of a list. So we should have a list. For example, if registered houses colony is there, so obviously we will be having a list with the municipal authority. So we can use it and we can use the data. In such a design, the selection process starts by picking some random point in the list, and every nth element is selected until the desired number is secured. So whatever sample size we have decided, so we use the systematic process and we go on collecting the data until the nth element is selected. And once the data still remain, again we will start it back. Stratified sampling, if the population from which a sample is to be drawn does not constitute a homogeneous group, okay, all are a different characteristics, then stratified sampling technique is applied so as to obtain a representative sample. So especially in this technique, the population is stratified into number of non-overlapping subpopulation or strata, and sample items are selected from each stratum. Okay. If the item selected from each stratum is based on simple random sampling, the entire procedure, first stratification and then simple random sampling, is known as stratified random sampling. Okay. If you just observe once again there, if the item selected from each stratum is based on simple random sampling, the entire procedure. Okay, because here the population is not homogeneous. Okay, so first stratification and then simple random sampling. So adding to both, it will become stratified random sampling. And the next is the quota sampling. So in stratified sampling, the cost of taking random samples from individual strata is often so expensive that interviewers are simply given quota to be filled from different strata. The actual selection of items for sample being left to the interviewer's judgment, this is called a quota sample. Okay, we are deciding a quota. And here, if you see, the population is stratified, and here the random is also included. Random sampling is also included from individual, and strata is often so expensive that interviews are simply given quota. Okay, only this much. The number quota will be decided. So to be filled from different strata we are having. The size of the quota for each stratum is generally proportionate to the size of that stratum in the population. Okay. So quota sampling is thus an important from non-probability sampling. Okay. So quota sample generally happens to be judgment samples rather than random samples. So here we judge. So this much we can do. On the basis of that, we go for the sampling size. Moving further, the cluster sampling and area sampling. So cluster sampling involves grouping the population and then selecting the groups or the clusters rather than individual element for inclusion in the sample. So just pay attention once again there. So here we are doing grouping, okay, the population. And in that group of the population, again, we are selecting the groups or the clusters, okay, rather than individual. We are not selecting here individual element, okay, in the including the sample. So suppose some departmental store wishes to sample its credit card holders, it has issued its credit card 15,000 customers. So sample size is to kept say 450 out of 15,000 customers. For a cluster sampling, this list of 15,000 card holders could be formed into 100 clusters of 150 card holders each. So 150 we can go on, so we can collect on that basis. And we are assigning the sampling for all the clusters wherever it is having. Okay. So 3 cluster might then be selected for the sample randomly. For example, if 150 is there, then if you are going for 3, 150, 150, 300, and again 150, it will become 450. So out of these 300 clusters, we are going to select 3 clusters. So the sample size must often be larger than a simple random sample to ensure the same level of accuracy. Because each cluster sampling procedural potential for order bias and other sources of error is usually accentuated. So that has to be taken care whenever we are going for the cluster sampling. Okay, the sample should be must be larger than the simple random sample. So that is the condition over it. The clustering approach can, however, make the sampling procedure relatively easier and increase the efficiency of fieldwork, especially in the case of personal interviews whenever we are going for it. Next is area sampling. So it's quite close to cluster sampling and is often talked about when the total geographical area of interest happens to be a big one. You can say any North India or South India, you can say Karnataka, then again in Karnataka, you can say North Karnataka and South Karnataka. If you compare North Karnataka and South Karnataka, the things match very much comparing to the South Karnataka. So under area sampling, we first divide the total area into a number of smaller non-overlapping areas, okay, region-wise. So generally called a geographical clusters. So same way, even the big companies also go for the clusters. They create clusters. For example, they go for a Hubli division, Belgaum division, or Gulbarga division. Okay, on that basis, they create a clusters also. So it is easy to manage. Then a number of these smaller areas are randomly selected and all units in these small areas are included in the sample size. Area sampling is especially helpful where we do not have the list of the population concerned. And especially in social research, whenever social studies we go for, especially in the field of marketing, so that area sampling always works. So it also makes the field interviewing more efficient since interviewer can do many interviews at each location. That will become easy for him, especially for the one who is going for interview. Next, multi-stage sampling. So this is further development of the idea of cluster sampling. Continuing of that, this technique is meant for big inquiries extending to a considerably large geographical area like an entire country if we are going for. So here, so sampling the first stage may be to select large primary sampling units such as states, districts, then towns, and finally certain families within the towns. So we are studying overall Indian here. If you take an example, so if the techniques of random sampling is applied at all stages, the sampling procedure is described as multi-random sampling. So just once again, if the technique of random sampling is applied at all the stages like states, districts, and towns, and the families, so the sampling procedure is described as multi-stage random sampling because the selection is going on the basis of random way. So that's why we call it as multi-stage random sampling. Next, sequential sampling. So this is somewhat a complex sample design where the ultimate size of sample is not fixed in advance, but is determined according to a mathematical decision on the basis of information yielded as a survey progress. We use here mathematical formula, and on that basis we go for it. So this design is usually adopted under acceptance sampling plan in the context of statistical quality control data. So they use this sequential sampling. This is regarding today's class. If you have any